Go. Good evening. I would like to call to order the Keizer City Council in regular session. It is Monday, December 5th, 2022, and ask our city recorder to please call roll.
Councilor Herrera.
Here.
Councilor Reed.
Here.
Councilor Kohler.
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here.
Council President Smith.
Here.
Councilor Starr.
Here.
Councilor Duran.
Here.
And Youth Councilor Sarmiento.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. If you're able, I ask you to rise, and I would invite you all to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for joining us this evening. It is truly a pleasure to start off this evening to introduce two very special and distinguished members of the Keizer community. Sophia Boru was Miss Oregon. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it right. The 2022 United States of America Miss Oregon. And this year's Miss Keizer is now also the 2023 United States of America Miss Oregon, and that's Kira Johnson. Congratulations to them both, and I would like to invite them up to talk about the program and their accomplishments and what's ahead for our 2023 Miss Oregon. Congratulations to them both. Let's give them a hand.
Hello, everybody.
Nice to meet everyone officially in person and not just over newspaper or email. I'm Kira.
I'm Sophia. You all know me from last year as your USOA Miss Oregon, and I was very pleased to crown Kira Johnson from Miss Keizer to our USOA Miss Oregon 2023.
Yes, you're the best. My platform specifically involves the opioid crisis and the fentanyl awareness of what's kind of going on in.
Pull the microphone a little closer, if you would.
So sorry. I know I don't project.
It's being broadcast.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. So my platform has to do with the opioid crisis and what's going on with the fentanyl awareness, harm reduction, and what we can do to kind of help youth and adults understand how big of a priority this is in our communities, especially right now. It seems to be an extremely big issue in Salem. Keizer is obviously connected to Salem in that sense that it's very close. And I have spoken at 3 schools. I'm very involved with the Arches Project downtown and volunteer at least 2 times a month down there to really get involved with the homeless community because they also suffer with addiction and, opioid crisis use and, opioids in general. And I kind of started this journey after I lost my brother in 2017 to an accidental fentanyl overdose. And I also have a very close family member who suffers from heroin addiction as well. So it's very important to me to help people understand how important getting out the word about harm reduction and what harm reduction is, and that's simply educating on Narcan, how important it is for our youth and our adults to use Narcan and to be able to understand how to use it, what we have available in terms of what kind of Narcan there is, like nasal spray, injection, syringe, there's multiple kinds, and I think it'd be very important that we start influencing this into our educational systems as a part of our health classes. In health, we do CPR. It's the same thing with Narcan. Narcan is reviving someone who has suffered an opioid overdose. And I think maybe finding a way to influence this into our health education would be very important for our youth and also as well helpful for the adults who don't really know what's going on. And I have a dream of continuing to speak at schools, so that's my main goal right now. I've been on multiple podcasts, done some newspaper interviews, and I just plan on continuing to be involved in the homeless community and the school aspects to really get across the message of how important it is to educate families, specifically young adults and adults, on this issue so we can stop overdoses, especially in our young adult community, because it's happening mostly in ages 12 to 24, which that's our future generation. They're kids. So it's really important to me to make sure that that impact is there.
Thank you so much. I don't know if you know, but I am the chair of the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance, which is our 2-county continuum of care. And I want to echo what you just said about the importance of targeting education outreach in a comprehensive way to our youth and young adults. We do have a large grant that we have received from HUD for support services for our youth and young adults. So I want to talk to you later about a couple of our service providers that I think need to have you involved in their work as well. And I'm glad you're involved with Arches because they are top-notch.
Yeah, they are. They're amazing.
They truly are.
And thank you. I would love to be involved.
Fantastic, thank you. Sophia, you had a very successful year as Miss Oregon, and want to reflect a little bit on that and what's ahead.
Absolutely. Well, I couldn't have done it without the community of Keizer, of course. Being able to be connected with so many different individuals within the community and different businesses and different programs, reaching out to me, asking me to be somewhere that I'd never heard of, connecting me with people who I didn't know what they were doing at the time. And even though I grew up volunteering within Keizer and going to so many different Keizer events, being more educated on certain things like fentanyl crisis and working more with our homeless and even mentoring youth now has become a huge part of me and what I'm doing now. I did focus on my domestic violence cause during my reign, and that has been a great asset to me now, being able to work with youth because, of course, as she said, our youth are going to be the future, and so being able to help educate them on said matters. And then now I am mentoring pageant women and helping them to be able to succeed during their reign has been an absolute bliss. Being able to teach them how to reach out to communities and being able to show them about their Chamber of Commerce and their local community and connect them with town meetings and being able to reach out to other businesses and other, what's the word I'm looking for? Other different programs to be able to help them just to go out and speak at different events and being able to connect them with different fundraisers and being able to show them that it's more than just a crown, it's actually a responsibility. And being able to teach them the ways of social media, even connecting them with certain ways of this is what you should be posting, and being able to show people like who you are. It doesn't matter what's underneath the crown, it matters what's behind the crown. And now I'm going into a new pageant system, as you guys can see. Even though I'm still a Kaiserite at heart and I still work at McNary, I did recently move to Wilsonville, so now I am Miss Clackamas County, but you guys will still see me around. I'm here today, and then I'll be at the tree lighting tomorrow, and then we are going to be at the Giving Basket wrapping program on Wednesday. So I'm super excited to still be your little pageant girl, but a little bit behind the scenes while this gal gets to take the reins.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations to you as well. And thank you for the work you are doing on domestic violence awareness as well. I want to open up to questions from the City Council. Councilor Herrera.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and good to see you, Sophia.
Hi.
And congratulations, you guys, both of you. Now, were you Marion County, Miss Marion County first, weren't you, or not?
I was Miss Keizer.
Okay.
Yeah, we were both a Miss Keizer.
Okay, gotcha, okay. Well, that was great. I mean, I was thinking you can go to another county and keep going to.
Definitely.
But anyway, as far as your fentanyl and all that, boy, I went to a class in that, and I mean, I'm very impressed with that because that's something that's really needed, and a lot of folks don't think. And as far as the homeschooling, I agree with that 100% too. But that's good that you are extending that. And Sophia, you can't get a better mentor than that. I'm telling you.
the best.
Thank you, ladies, for all you do. Appreciate it. Thank you, Member.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Clackamas County and Miss Oregon? All right, if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to reach you, especially for speaking engagements and other events?
You can email me. If you would like me to provide my email right now, I can do that.
You are welcome to do so.
Yes.
Kira, Kira .Johnson, John, son. That's how I remember how to spell it. 6@me.com. Or you can text me 971-720-9828. Either or works well. I'm completely open to anything and helping out anywhere I can. So please indulge me in some new experiences. I'm excited.
All right, well, thank you so much. And again, congratulations to Miss Oregon and to Miss Clackamas County, two fine young women from the community of Keizer. We are very proud of you and thank you for your leadership. Congratulations. It is now my honor to read the proclamation this year for Human Rights Day. And this goes as follows. Whereas on December 10, 1948, the member states of the United Nations signed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and countries of different political, economic, and social systems unanimously agreed on the fundamental rights that all people share solely on the basis of their common humanity. And whereas the Universal Declaration asserts recognition of the inherent dignity and of the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace. And whereas disregard and contempt for human rights have resulted in acts which have outraged the conscience of mankind. And whereas the advent of a world in which human beings enjoy freedom of speech, belief, and freedom of fear and want has been proclaimed to be the highest aspiration of the human worldwide community. And whereas the City of Keizer affirms that all people shall be treated with dignity and respect. And whereas each person has the power and ability to promote respect for human rights and freedoms. Now therefore I, Kathy Clark, Mayor of the City of Keizer, together with the Keizer City Council assembled in regular session, do hereby proclaim December 10th, 2022 as Human Rights Day and urge the residents of our community to actively and thoughtfully live out these ideals. This declaration will be posted here at the city. It will be posted online, and we encourage people to post what they are doing, the work that they are engaged with, both personally and community-wide, for human rights, both on December 10th, but year-round. Human Rights Day is what Keizer needs to be all about. Thank you so much. And now we are going to move into a celebration of the holiday and our arts. And I'm going to turn it over to Councilor Reed and we've got a presentation on our 2022 holiday card winner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This year, our holiday winner, our holiday card contest winner was Mrs. Opal Fricky, and she is she lives in, I'm going to forget which.
Avamere.
Avamere. She lives in Avamere, and she is unable to be here with us today, but we have a recording of her reception of her award. So we will turn the time to our video.
Hi, I'm Kim Steen. I'm the chair of the Keizer Public Arts Commission. I'm here today at Avamere Court to present our 2022 holiday gift card contest winner with her prize of a $100 gift card to Michael's in Keizer, and also her framed artwork. I'd like to introduce you to Opal Fricky.
Hi. I just wanted to say that this was a big surprise that I won this, and I feel that it's an honor to have won the contest. And I would just like to tell other older citizens that you're never too old to learn. I started doing this 2 years ago. No teacher, instructed myself, and I'm 95 years old, and I find it a nice hobby.
Wonderful. I'd also like to tell everyone that as you're watching this, the 2023 the 2023 holiday gift card contest is underway again. So go to keizer.org, and there will be a banner, I think, at the top, and we would love to see all of your submissions. Thank you.
That is fantastic. Anybody who says that you're old to learn something, I think the gauntlet has been laid. Okay. Councilor Reed.
So thank you, Madam Mayor. So just as a follow-up to that, if we could have a zoom in on this. So this is a poster that will be around. And so as Kim Steen mentioned, if you go to Keizer.org and go to the How Do I tab and go to the Holiday Card Contest, the contest for the 2023 Holiday Card Contest is now open. And there is a application form here that, well, you can't read that obviously, but there's a short application that will be submitted along with your artwork for next year. And we will be accepting those through Friday, March 3rd of 2023. And so, yeah, you might be selected for 2023. And so we also would draw your attention to our display out in the lobby of the Civic Center for past winners. So we would like to start that tradition of every year honoring our past winners and just really celebrating our artists of Keizer. So thank you to Opal Fricke and all of our past winners, and we certainly invite as many submissions as possible for our upcoming year. So thank you very much.
Thank you. What an absolute treat. That is fantastic. Speaking of decorations in the lobby, many of you may have noticed on the way in that we have 5 Christmas trees. And so rather than waiting until the end of the meeting, Mr. Brown, where did those trees come from?
Well, I might have to defer to Mr. Witham about where they actually came from, but I can tell you it was his concept to work with the employees who were excited and engaged to make a decorated tree for each of their departments. And so there's lots of fun out there. Get close to those trees and see which department it is, and you can figure it out. But the plane director resourced the trees, but all the decorations were done by the employees.
Which is a great place if people want to come and do selfies with some beautiful trees. Mr. Witham.
Yeah, thank you. No, it was super fun. We've historically done a big tree in the lobby. It's become more progressively difficult to find large trees and locations to get them from. But the gentleman that we got our big Christmas tree from last year, he's out in outside of Silverton. It's called White Christmas Tree Farm, which I thought was a great name. But Chuck White and his family own the place, and it's actually great. They raise funds for the local high schools. They do firefighting, they do paramedic work. It's kind of like their vocational element of the school, so they actually do that. We didn't get the trees for free, but he did give us a great deal. So it was great. So thanks for Mr. White and White Christmas Tree Farms. But yeah, the employees did a great job of decorating and a lot of fun stuff out there.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd also like to point out that there's a mailbox out there for Santa Claus. So if you want to bring your kid's letter to Santa, put them in the box, they will get answered.
All right, thank you very much. Very much in the holiday spirit, and really appreciate Mrs. Fricke and her beautiful design for our card this year, our city employees, and more importantly, the activity throughout our chamber. Make sure you go to the website and see what's going on with all of the chamber activities this week, culminating in the parade this Saturday night. Everybody watching, I'm telling you right now, River Road will be closed for a parade. I didn't hear about it. All right, you heard it here. It will be closed. Bring up a chair, bring a blankie, have a good time. All right, with that, I'm going to go to committee reports. And the first item is 5A, the Volunteer Coordinating Committee recommendations for appointment, Keizer Parks Advisory Board, and Traffic Safety Bikeways Pedestrian Committee. Mr. Brown, I guess Ms. Davis.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. On November 11th, the Volunteer Coordinating Committee met to review and interview applicants for openings on the Parks Advisory Board and the Traffic Safety Bikeways Pedestrian Committee. There were 3 openings on the Parks Board and 2 on the Traffic Safety Bikeways Pedestrian Committee. The Volunteer Coordinating Committee is recommending the appointments of Tanya Hamilton, Mike Pantalone, and Gwen Carr to positions 1, 2, and 3 on the Parks Board, and Brenda Lamb and Hirsch Sangster to positions 1 and 2 on the Traffic Safety Bikeways Pedestrian Committee. It's recommended you accept their recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on the staff report of the recommendations? Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the Keizer City Council accept the recommendation of the Volunteer Coordinating Committee and appoint Tanya Hamilton, Mike Henalone, and Gwen Card, positions 1, 2, and 3 respectively on the Parks Advisory Board, and Brenda Lamb and Hirsch Sangster to positions 1 and 2 respectively on the Traffic Safety Bikeways Pedestrian Committee, all terms expiring December 31st, 2025.
Second?
Motion has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying, I'm sorry, Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I happened to be at the Volunteer Coordinating Committee when the interviews were taking place, and I'm just thrilled with the quality of the volunteers that we're receiving, all the hard work that they're willing to put in to make Keizer such a great place.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. Do we have anybody here tonight from a committee to give a committee report? Councilor Reed?
I have a KPAC report. Do you want me to give that then?
Yeah, why don't we go ahead, why don't you do that now, since we just talked about some of it with Opal Fricky.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I have been tasked with the job of giving the Keizer Public Arts Commission report for this month because it's my turn. So the financing for Rosalie's cows that are going in on the roundabout is going forward very nicely. And the contract has been awarded for the manufacture of those cows. So that is really exciting. The Keizer Community Foundation is leading the way on the financing for those, and we are in final negotiations for the remainder of that financing. So hopefully that will be going in the spring. We also talked about and voted on the funding for the maintenance of the cultural history poles and the Sasquatch sculpture in Keizer Rapids Park. We have some wonderful pieces of art around town, the public arts, and we must take care of those. And that maintenance is part of the purview of the Public Arts Commission, and we are proud to take care of those things. So those were the primary things that we took care of in that meeting, and along with some minor housekeeping, but just wanted to make that report.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions on the KPAC report? And we encourage folks, if they want to know where the public art is located in Keizer, it is on our city website. We have a points of interest, which includes a map to all of the locations of public art in Keizer, as well as our 19 parks and other points of interest that have been identified over the years in our community. So encourage people to get out, even in this brisk weather, to enjoy some beautiful art around town. All right, anybody else for committee reports? Going once, twice? Okay. We will go on now to public comment. This time is provided for citizens to address the council on any matters other than those on the agenda scheduled for public hearing. We have 2 public hearings scheduled this evening. Item 7A is the solid waste rate proposal, and item 7B is the Keizer Development Code Amendment, Stormwater Management. So if you're here for that, stand by. Before we get into public comment, I want to acknowledge for the record the written comments we have received. We have from numerous residents on Mistwood and Meadowlark, all residents of Keizer, and this is petition filed on November 29 on the Miracle of Christmas Lights display route. We have a letter from Dale and Alice Kroger, and they are residents of Keizer, and this is on the Christmas lights route. We have a letter from, sorry, I'm having a hard time reading the writing. Sarah Deem, and a resident of Keizer on the Christmas lights route. Okay, let's see if I can read this. Melissa Carter, Derek Settlemeyer, Rosalie Gossman, and this is on the Christmas lights route. So that's what I have in written comment. And I will now go to public comment. So each of you who I call up will be given up to 5 minutes. The timer's on the table. You will be asked to give your name and city of residence, and then the time is yours for you to address the council. And first up is John Meissner. And to give you time, on deck will be Allison Coriano.
Thank you for allowing me to give my point of view on Keizer lights. I will start by saying that I am in no way against what they have done. I'm a member, I've been a resident, of Keizer for 14 years. I grew up in Eastern Oregon and spent all my life there, first 62 years. And when I moved to Keizer, I realized that our end of the street was not included in the Keizer lights. And I thought, wow, that's great, because with all the traffic that goes through. But I have some points, and if I can get my phone to work, I put them on here. First of all, I think the Keizer, the Meadowlark Mistwood loop, and that is a loop. It just goes around the end, and it's Mistwood on one side and Meadowlark on the other. I don't know if you're familiar with that little corner of Keizer, but I think there are 24 houses that are served. That serve that street, those streets serve that that part of the community. And I think it was built for just serving those houses, because it's not really one of those, it's got a 180-degree turn in it, which is not really conducive to a lot of traffic. And I think that we as residents knew nothing about it until the day before Thanksgiving, when a little note was shoved under my welcome mat at the front door. And when I looked at it, I thought, well, what's this? Do we know about this? But no, we didn't know about it. I guess nobody, well, somebody must have known about it, but it wasn't, I wasn't one of those people. Anyway, I'm really not in favor of including that into the route, because it does make a hazard for the area. Also, I think that there are better places. They included it because they said that the collection point for next year is going to be in that loop. Well, then now I understand that the lady, the family who was going to head that up, said they didn't want anything to do with it. So I think that there needs to be some really consideration of what has been pushed through this council, and I don't think the council really understands how bad that street is for the traffic that's on it. I think that it would be good to talk to the Keizer School District and have that, if they're going to collect these funds for that, which I'm in total favor of, would be willing to help with those people. I think they ought to talk to the Keizer and use the Gubser School as a collection point, because they don't use that at night, and that's when this thing happens. And they also, it would be a place they could pull off the street and then pull back onto it as a loop. They're in front of the Gubser School. And so I think that that would be a consideration for, and like I say, I think that you could get volunteers to do that, to help to do that. I think one person should be in charge, because you can't have a whole bunch of people wanting to run everything because it just doesn't run smoothly. So those are my comments, and I hope you'll consider them, because I think it's a safety issue. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to let you go ahead and sit down. Before I call up the next person, though, I've got a couple of questions. Because number one, we don't receive this event permit. So we have, unless we've been there, which I haven't yet this year, I didn't even know there was one change in the route too. We don't approve that. It's not a council action. So I do want to make that comment. So I'd love to see a map. Number two, if it's not the same people who did it last year, who's doing it? Does anybody know?
It is the same.
Is that? That would be great. And so if you want to come down and give your name and sit,
Can I have 1 extra minute to answer those questions for you?
you can have all the time you need to answer the
Okay.
questions. If you would first introduce
Okay,
yourself.
I know, it's at this point, a really muddled situation.
Okay.
I've
So
done my
what's
best.
your name?
Allie. I live on
Allie?
Meadowlark. Allie Coriano. I live.
Oh, you were the
Allison.
next person up.
Sorry, yes. I've done my very best to talk to all parties. Just
Okay.
today, I concluded a phone conversation with the current volunteers. So I just want to lay out the facts because I know it's a really convoluted situation at this point. So a few months ago, our street received, actually the whole neighborhood received word that the current volunteers who are on the longer end of Mistwood, right? So there's the loop. Mistwood is like this short little part.
I need a map.
Sorry, okay, 14th. Okay.
I'm going to get, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's
I won't be looking at you
yeah.
because I'm looking at the map.
It's, for 10 years, it's been on the longer, wider end of Mistwood. Those volunteers, it makes sense, they're passing the baton. So we all received flyers a few months ago saying that next year, they would be looking to pass on the tent to another group of families and was asking for people to come forward to take it on. So somebody on our loop decided that they would like to do that. And the decision was made without any of the other neighbors being alerted. So the current volunteers then went to get a parade permit with the city to change the route. So that's what we've been told, is that the wording has been consistently to us that, well, the city has approved the permit, so it's done, it's happened. So the day that the permit got approved, they printed these flyers that said it was the day before Thanksgiving, then we were notified. And we were told, you are on the Christmas light route in 10 days. I don't know the actual average age of our street, but I would say it's about 80 years old. We are one of 3 families with children. So that's where we're at. We are being told by them at every point that it's actually on the city of Keizer and not on them. You know, yes, they submitted the permit, but it's like, it's a done deal. The city approved it. You guys are on the route. There's nothing that can be done.
Okay,
That's
I'm
what we're
going to
being
press pause
told.
right there.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, please.
And normally I don't do this. Normally I let people just talk and we don't try to problem solve
That's
from
fine.
here.
Yep.
But I want to make this really clear, that when the event permit was submitted to the city, it was the plan of the organizers, and I don't know who they are. Is that the same people who have been doing it? Okay. When they turned that into the city, it wasn't for the city to say, you know, we're going to go look at anything beyond what it takes to issue an event permit. And I'm going to look at our staff, but they hit all the marks about what it takes to get a permit for this event. It's up to the organizer to say, I am turning this in because this is what I want my event to be. The city's not going to second guess the event permit or redo
Yeah.
it for them. So by them not consulting with the neighbors, it is not a done deal because the city has said so. This is not the city saying, thou shalt change the route because we are dictating this from on high. Our staff is agreeing that the contents of the application for the permit met the criteria to be approved. That's it. So it can be changed.
We've
This
been
is
told
not
it
a-
can't be changed. We've been told that. So, and I want you to know, I haven't heard, that's what they're saying to us. So.
Who they?
This is the current volunteers. And I clarified some of this on the phone today with Adam, that I said, this is not the truth, right? And he confirmed that for me. So I want you to know, I don't hear any one of us having any angst towards the city. This is what we've wondered, is actually that it was
Yeah.
something going on. We feel that it was behind our backs. And I have clarified with them, it was so that they said, I said, why would you do it without the neighbors having any knowledge prior to 10 days? Because 10 days is absolutely not enough time, and that's what a lot of us are here about. And they said, because we knew that people would say no. They said, we wanted to make sure we got this settled. We knew that people would be upset about it. Every time we change the route, people get upset. And then the second question is, well, why is it being moved this year and not next year? The answer I've gotten is so that everybody can get their angst out about it this year, and so that we can send the traffic through there and work out the kinks with the traffic. I have that in an email. That is a disaster to me, and I'm going to share about what's actually happening now, night after night. Do you want me to share, or do you have any other questions?
Oh, I got a lot of questions.
I know, it's pretty nutty. Okay, is that okay? Can I share?
Yes, please go ahead and share
Okay,
your
and
point
then
of view. I'd love to hear it.
anything else? Okay.
Thank you.
I don't want to take everyone's whole night. Hello, City Council. I'm Allie, a mom of 3 young boys, graduate of McNary, and former teacher in our district's Title I schools. I've lived in the Gubser neighborhood for 15 years, first with my parents on Stonehenge, and now with my family on the Meadowlark Mistwood Loop. Working in our schools and doing home visits with low-income families opened my eyes to their desperate need for the necessities, including food. I've volunteered at our food banks and know firsthand how big of a need there is. I care deeply about the donation tent that is a part of the Miracle of Lights and the amount of food it provides for those in need. I'm here tonight to try and advocate for the continuation of this amazing give back effort in the Keizer community. When we received word that our street would be included in the Miracle of Lights route with only 10 days notice, it sent our street into a whirlwind. We were told that the reasoning was so that our street could house the donation tent next year. This will be a little repetitive, but it's just where I'm at. But that we were being added to the loop this year so that the traffic could get used to going that way. I want to make this very clear. The donation tent is not moving until next year. So we are being added to the route this year as a form of practice. That word has been used in conversations. This is my opinion. None of us need practice. We are all adults. The traffic doesn't need practice. People will follow the signs or not. When probed further about why they have us on the loop, the current volunteers' reasons get more and more senseless. Of course, as you can imagine, most of our street is dark right now, given the short notice. So there are now dozens of cars going through our loop, quite bored each night. Some end up going fast around the corners to get through it, and some throw their trash out the windows. Watching cars go fast around the corner right in front of my house and my son's bedroom is making this mama bear anxious. The cars are antsy to get out of our lame street, and I don't blame them. Plus, if there is ice, there is no way to cancel the lights. I've asked them, and they said, no, there's no way to stop people from going through. There have been several accidents in the spot right outside of our house, and our neighbors who have lived there longer than I will explain that a little more. I can't see into the future, but my personal opinion is that the donation tent, being on our loop will actually be detrimental to the donation tent and subsequent donations. I don't anticipate our street being much brighter next year, given the elderly ages on our street and how things were handled so poorly this year and the general sentiment of the neighbors towards it all. So I think that people will get, as in the drivers, will get smart and skip our darkened loop and the donation tent entirely. They will be able to see from 14th Street the backup that will occur from the donation tent, and since we were at the end of the route, they will opt to skip our loop. I would like to propose a solution, a more permanent lasting home for the donation tent that brings in $50,000 and 20,000 pounds of food for our community neighbors in need. None of us here want to let that go. My parents reside on the Stonehenge cul-de-sac, and my dad is a man who dresses as Buddy the Elf and drives around the neighborhood on a motorbike most nights in December to spread Christmas cheer. He and my mom have offered to host the donation tent outside of the field that they own on 14th. My husband and I would be co-hosts with them, and we already have many neighbors who have committed to helping us. Since we have a year until the donation tent needs to be moved, I think that is ample time for us to work with the city to establish this location safely. Should the location on 14th be deemed as a non-option, I'm requesting more time in the new year to help recruit a family who is already on the lights route to take on the tent. I do feel confident that a family can be found, but I need more time to talk with people and try and find somebody. I also need the current donation tent volunteers in the city of Keizer to take our very dark loop off of the lights route immediately. Tonight I was out there putting out safety cones because it just doesn't feel right watching that circle again right by my son's bedroom. All in all, I'm confident that if we can collaborate on this project, we can secure a permanent location for the tent that will work wonderfully for years to come. I hope we can work together to make the Miracle of Lights something that is positive and unifying for not only the residents of the Keizer neighborhood, but can bless our community members in need. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. And if you would, since you
Okay.
have written testimony, make sure Ms. Davis gets that. But before I let you go, you have a neighborhood association. The Greater Keizer Neighborhood Association, Councilor Starr and Councilor Herrera live in the Greater Keizer Neighborhood Association, which would appear to me, and I'm going to look at those two councilors who live in that neighborhood association to talk about the natural convening opportunity that we have to start building the collaboration you just talked about. So I'm going to look at first Councilor Starr and then Councilor Herrera.
I'm going to need help. I'm getting met with animosity from the current volunteers. I'm concerned that I won't be successful in actually even having it at the 14th location because they've told me, I have it in writing today, we're just going to move forward with how things are. We'll continue discussions in the new year. To me, that sounds like I'm being pushed off, and I need some help. So I'm just saying that I'm trying to communicate, but we're going to need some backup a little bit if people want to collaborate on this different location.
On the entire event, because, we have relied on families.
No, not the
who've
entire event. We're just talking about this debacle with they're saying that I'm getting pushed away in terms of my family and I saying that we would like to host it. We're being pushed away because the people on our street have already said they want to take it. They said, that's what we're going to move forward with this year. We're going to keep you guys on the loop no matter how much you are not okay with it. We just are told a flat no matter what we do. We've emailed, I've spoken with them on the phone.
Councilor Starr.
I'm collecting my thoughts here. Was the neighborhood association, because as Mayor Clark said, the Keizer neighborhood greater.
Yeah.
Was that neighborhood association
I live
consulted?
right next to Patty, and my understanding is that for years, the current volunteers have run this on their own and haven't worked too closely at all with the Keizer Neighborhood Association. So
Okay.
you could ask Patty more, but I don't see a connection there.
But the current organizers are,
Families in the neighborhood.
but they're moving away or they're done?
Some of them have moved, and they're done with doing
They're
it,
done
which
with it
is
this year.
understandable.
And is it an actual registered organization with the
I'm
state?
not sure.
And how, I guess my question, I just have all these questions
They
that are
just
coming
say,
forward.
yeah, they
like
say
who-
that this is what they get to decide. They decide where the route goes. They go get the permit. They change it. They said this, they've told us this is how it works. They've done it other times, they said. People have written petitions when they do try and move it. And they said, this is just what happens. We're ready for you to be as angry as you want to be, but we're not going to budge.
So this is a question, I guess, for Mr. Lawyer, Chief Teague. So just an individual submits this permit request and there's no organization backing it? What about liability? If there's an accident, somebody gets run over, who's responsible? Sorry. just a
That I don't
question.
have an answer to. I would have to look to the
Mr.
city attorney for that. I can give you the history of the event and how the city has handled it. We get the application for a special event permit. It shows the route, it shows the signing, it shows the flow of traffic. We review it from traffic flow, traffic safety, signing requirements. We work with the organizers to make adjustments if necessary that we see between Public Works and the police department, so the route will flow as smooth as possible. From there, it's up to the neighborhood.
But I think where my question is, when I look at at least my understanding, the Holiday Lights Parade that goes down River Road.
Yes.
That's an organization, an entity with insurance that's producing the parade
might
and
have that, I'm
submitting
not
the
sure.
permit. Who's doing that for this?
Mr. Johnson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Lawyer is correct. In this case, my understanding is the neighborhood association used to take more or less the active role, if not being the actual applicant in years past, but for the last several years, it's been more or less an individual group that I'm not sure if they have a connection to the neighborhood association or not. Neighborhood association doesn't have their name on the application. Insurance is required under our ordinance, and they did provide insurance, but it was an individual application. The permit approval criteria is real short. It says the parade or special event can be conducted without endangering public safety. The parade or special event can be conducted without seriously inconveniencing the general public, and that there's sufficient public safety personnel, if city manager determines it's necessary, to protect participants, observers, and general public, and that adequate insurance is in place. So those are the criteria, and that's the background as I understand it.
And we received, I'm assuming there was appropriate proof of insurance from an individual?
Correct.
So the event, I'll call you up in just a minute, but we're,
That's fine.
So
I
everybody-
can go if you want me to.
no, you're,
Okay.
if, anybody more questions for Ally at this time? Counselor Duran.
Just, you probably know, there's quite a few applicants or signatures here. What would you say, how many signatures are on here compared to people that do want it?
Are there 23 on there or 21? I can't remember what the final
There's
number
a couple
was.
different.
There are, to my knowledge, 3 homes that did not sign it, maybe 2 homes. Someone could speak better to that, but it's absolutely the majority.
So less
And it
than
was
10%.
people asking, hand me that right now, let me sign this. And I have plenty of verbal stories. I'm the one who went to the elderly, like 85, 94, that don't leave their homes, are not doing well, health-wise. I have their concerns as well, just in my head, but
Okay, so there's definitely less than 10% that,
yeah.
that say they
They
do
would know
want it.
back there, so, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ally? Counselor Herrera?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Hi, Ally.
Hi.
Listen, and I might have missed it because I do have some hearing aids. You have talked to Patty Tischer, right?
Yeah, we live right next to each
What
other.
was her position on this thing, or?
The current volunteers have made it so that they're working on their own.
Okay, because
Yeah.
from my experience.
That they're not
the last
working
few
with
years that I was
GGNA.
involved in, like the actual event, when they came pick up the check and all that, the families would show up to the association meeting, Gupser Association, and we weren't really that, Gupser Association was not really we didn't put it together, they'd come to us and then we would present it. And so I was confused about that, and at the same time, our neighborhood association is not as active, Patty, and there's like 3 or 4 people that are really there, and it's not really as active as like West Keizer. But from my position, did they submit the new route to the city, and it was approved, everything okay?
The permit was approved as it was submitted, as far as I know.
Okay.
I did review the permit myself. I saw the route change. I was informed by one of my staff members who has been a volunteer for the last 10 years, moved out of the neighborhood, that the route had changed. And the reason for the change was because the folks that were going to host it next year live on that loop. And they, whoever they are, and I don't know who they are, decided to make the route change this year in preparation for the movement of the donation tent next year.
Okay.
But from my standpoint, when I review the permit, I don't know the background, obviously. I still review it for the same criteria.
And we're understanding about that, and we're not here to actually harp on you. I think we're just really at a loss of what to do moving forward, and
And
it's,
I will say, I did consider the width of the Mistwood Meadowlark Loop. It is not as wide as other parts of the route, but it's as wide as Amy Court or Rockledge Court. And with the route goes down and makes a turn in the cul-de-sac. I've worried about that for years, honestly, and we've never had any problems. Not to say there couldn't still be problems, but in evaluating it from the traffic flow and that safety standpoint, I felt that the Meadowlark Mistwood Loop was as safe or probably safer than the cul-de-sacs, so.
the last thing I'll just add is the thing that is the pickle here, is that we were notified 10 days prior, so there are not enough lights up. So you couldn't have anticipated this, but I'm watching out and cars are going fast to get through because it's boring. And that's where we're meeting that animosity is you should have just, figured it out, gotten over it kind of thing. So, that's a hard one for us. And I have the solution. I do. My family and I would love to be the host, but I don't know that I'm going to be accepted for that from the current volunteers, so.
Follow up with Councilor Rivera.
So, Ellie, are you guys, like, you do have an alternative family that would, that you guys?
Yes,
would do it?
the reason we didn't come forward is they had told us that the city would likely say no to 14th Street, so we have wanted to do it, but they kept saying it wouldn't probably work. So then I found out through the city manager today, I clarified with him, I said, can we do it on 14th outside of the field that my parents own? It's actually great. It doesn't have a bunch of homes there. It gives a lot more space. And he said that he thinks that would be approved. I don't know for sure, but I thought when I received the notice 3 months ago, it said for next year. Nothing was said about this year. So I thought I had more time, and I was even talking to people on other streets, but now that's all been shut down, and they're saying, nope, we're doing it with these people that are coming forward, and that's how it's gonna be.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So, yeah, you
Yeah,
do
it's
have
okay.
a solution, but what I'm hearing is that 3 families have put together an event that they expect the entire neighborhood to participate in without their input.
And that it can be changed last minute on a very elderly street.
On anybody. I
Right,
mean, yeah,
yes, that is
Yeah.
what they're being clear about. Yep.
but this is an event by 3 families, and it's for a good thing, but it is an event put on by 3 families with the expectation of everybody participating in it without asking them to do so. Is that what I'm
Yes,
hearing?
Absolutely.
And what I'm hearing from the people here is that there is a desire to convene the neighborhood together to decide what's going to happen next for future years, and to involve more people in that. And the people who are saying that what they would like to take over the event next year are going to also put on an event involving the whole neighborhood without talking to the whole neighborhood. Am I getting that right?
Yes.
Because that's really what I'm hearing.
Yes, yes. It's shocking to all of us as well. That's why we're here tonight.
All right.
Yeah.
I would just want to make sure I heard it right.
Yeah. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to bring it down. Next up, I have Diane Dodson. And then I'll open it up to anybody else who would like to comment, and then we will talk about what's next. So just state your name and your city of residence for the record, and then the time is yours.
Hi, my name is Diana Dodson, and I live at 1366 Meadowlark Drive Northeast. I live on the Loop. I'm here to stand in the gap, and I'm a voice for those neighbors that can't be here tonight. We have several neighbors that range from 94, 85, 70, 60. Some of them have health issues. They can't get out of their house. My husband is here tonight. He is ill, but he's here tonight. When we heard of this the day before Thanksgiving, our neighborhood, we all received this flyer. I came home from work. I have a very stressful job, and I came home from work the day before Thanksgiving to an upset husband, neighbors that were upset that how this was going to affect our neighborhood, our Loop. It has created hardship for the families that cannot afford lights, decorations. It's not an option. It is an option to decorate your house. But you know what? They've killed our holiday spirit by doing this. I feel like the Grinch came and took the spirit away from Christmas. So all of our houses, like Ally had spoke, it's dark. We have lights on our house. We have decorations on several of our houses, but we're choosing not to light it up. Okay? We have little kids on our street that need to celebrate Christmas, right? and see the spirit of Christmas. We're not against the light display in our neighborhood. We love it. All of us have walked probably the neighborhood and saw the displays or drove through it. I volunteer for the Marion Polk Food Bank every year. I volunteer. I work for a company that we donate millions of dollars for the Marion Polk Food Bank all year long. So we're not against this. We're supporting it. But it's created anxiety, hardship for many of our neighbors. And there were some letters that were given to we sent, some of our neighbors had sent them.
We have copies of them. They have been provided to us.
And so when I came home that day and I saw the neighborhood, how upset, I decided to be a voice, and I'm the one that started the petition. We have 21 signatures. There's 3 homes that did not sign the petition. Okay. So we're just here to ask for advice and ask for help of how we can get it changed. We're still in support. I talked to Shannon Johnson several times on the phone. He's advised us to come here tonight to be voices, to speak. The street is not safe. I have lived there for 12 years on the street, and Allie's home, where she lives, there's a light pole. And there's been accidents when they come around the corner. So the road goes down and it slopes as you go around on Mistwood, and then you come back around, it narrows. And the cars that have had the accident have hit that light pole by Allie's home. Her father had owned that home, and the renters used to live there, but Allie and her children, and her husband and children live there now. It is not safe. My husband and I were walking our dogs the first night, Saturday night. We walk our dogs every night in the neighborhood. There was a car that came around the corner very fast, and he saw us, and they were there to see the lights on our street, but there was no lights. And so he saw us and he slowed down. I can't tell you how many times that happens on our street. And then garbage, they're throwing garbage now out. There was garbage Saturday night thrown out on the street. Yeah. So just many things, contributing factors of why we're here tonight to speak and ask for it not to be. So, okay.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Questions from anybody on council? All right. Thank you so much for being here tonight and expressing your concerns for the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. That's everybody who has signed up. Is there anybody else who would like to address the council before we ask the city staff to follow up on a couple of things? So my request of staff is I'm sorry. Oh, yes. Come on up, if you would. Okay. So if you would give your name and your city of residence for the record?
Yes, my name is Noah Seitz. I live in Keizer.
Okay.
And this is my wife, Sarah Greenleaf. We also live on Mistwood on the loop. And of course, just like everyone has said, found out with very, very short notice that the route was changing. We're worried about it. I personally am a cello teacher. I teach privately from my home. And I am seriously worried, not only about lots of traffic, but my students' ability to safely get in and out of our loop so they can attend their lessons in my home. I am worried about business with the traffic. And further, I mean, anyone who's been on the loop knows how, just disgusting the exhaust from all of the cars is. And with the way the loop is, it is just going to back up and get terrible on the loop. And I am extremely worried about all of those things. I just want to say that. Did you have anything?
Hi, I'm Sarah Greenleaf, and I live on the loop. My daughter teaches piano out of our home too. Just the consideration of having stop signs on either end of the loop. So here's 14th Street, the loop goes like this, there's stop signs on either end, and the donation booth would be around here. And our house is here. This is gonna get all backed up. And the exhaust is bad enough in the neighborhood at large. When we go for a walk, it's pretty yucky as the traffic gets backed up. But on our loop, it's gonna be really backed up, hanging out at that donation station. So those are our concerns mainly. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, I did have one question, really, really quick, and it's more a rhetorical one. So given the short notice and you run a business out of your home, this prevented you from being able to either reschedule or to work with your students for that sudden change in order to be able to get your students to your music lessons. Is that correct?
No, we haven't had to reschedule anything yet.
You haven't had to?
No, because
Okay.
it gets busier toward Christmas, you know.
Right.
So right now, it's pretty sparse traffic, although people do like to yell out their windows as they go by, and it's usually really nice stuff, like, you know, Merry Christmas, they're all yelling and hanging out the windows, and that's fine, but it's a little disruptive. And like people have said, it's a really quiet loop. We used to live on 14th down by the Mormon church, and that's people cruise through there. They use us as a cut through. And we didn't mind that so much because we knew we were moving to a kind of a main thoroughfare. So then we moved to this quiet loop, we thought, and then got added. We just moved in the spring, so we just got added to the loop. And we were just like, you know, like, this is such a wonderful cause, and we would be happy to volunteer, but we just don't think the donation station in the middle of the loop makes any sort of sense.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Anyone else? Mr. Brown? So based on what we've heard tonight, it sounds like there's some issues regarding traffic impact on when looking at these, an event permit of this type. And also, it does not sound like, based on the neighborhood input, that there was consultation with the neighbors. When we do the Iris Festival, the Keizer Fest, all the businesses have to be notified that there's going to be a parade that's going to impact their business. And the chamber does that. And they work very hard at it. So what we're hearing tonight is that the event organizers did none of the things that we already have come to expect for parade events that the chamber does. So can we have another look at how we issue this type of permit to ensure that we are taking in traffic impact and reaching out to the affected facilities, either residences or businesses?
The short answer is yes, we can look at.
So this is
process.
prevention for the future, is what I'm thinking about. For right now, is it true that if the event organizers came back and said, okay, we have heard from the neighbors and we want to alter the route, can that be expedited to make that adjustment midstream?
Yeah, and in fact, I talked to the organizers probably about 4 o'clock today and about that, and to let them know that it could be changed. And I talked with Ms. Coriano also and let her know that it could be changed if it was resubmitted. And I suppose the city could initiate that change also.
So if the city lets them know that a route alteration based on these criteria needs to be done, is that something we can move forward with? Because there is a traffic impact, what we're hearing, or at least to look at it from that point of view, and the lack of outreach to the affected residences in this case. If it was the chamber and Keizer Fest, we'd be all over their grill, and we have been in the past, to make sure that they're reaching out to everybody in a timely manner. Mr. Lawyer?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like some guidance on the criteria. I reviewed the permit with the same criteria we've done for decades.
Yeah.
I did not see any concerns. So the criteria, I'd like some guidance on the criteria you're speaking to. I think requesting staff to reach out to the neighborhood is a major burden for this event. This is a huge neighborhood. I feel as we have to rely on the organizers to present a permit for review, application for review that fairly represents the event. We have to have some trust in those folks. We've had trust in those folks for many, many years. This is new. This is the first time on this. I'm certainly happy to take a different approach, but I'd sure like some guidance on the criteria you're thinking about. What criteria do I put in play here that I'm not already using?
I think that's a very fair question, and I would encourage you to work with Mr. Brown on bringing back some recommendations. So, hearing what we heard tonight, we see where the gaps are in our process, and to bring recommendations that would help make our process more, avoid these problems in the future, to take care of the criteria that we need to put in place. So we're going to be looking to you for that recommendation on what those appropriate criteria would be. But for the immediate, reaching out to the organizers to, because they're the ones responsible for this event, and they're the ones responsible for ensuring that it is operating smoothly, and they're the ones responsible for making sure that traffic impact and other issues are considered for the entire neighborhood involved. I mean, they're throwing a big event, and it's impacting a lot of people. I believe the responsibility lies with them. Anybody disagree? Councilor Herrera?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It seems to me that the timing is not good. The way it's organized is not good, and the communication's not good. I put myself in the neighbor's position, and I think to myself, wow, the day before Thanksgiving. And I understand it takes organizing, but I think it would be fair to talk to the actual organizers and tell them, okay, why can't we just do this right? I mean, we have no say. I understand where we're at as a council, but it doesn't seem fair to me. I put myself in that position. If I had traffic there the next day, and I know there's a lot of kids I would be concerned that, and then with the elderly folks, there's so many things that don't sound right about this whole thing, switch. And I know it's going on now, but I would have liked to have seen them not, wait one more year or something like that, because it didn't seem right. It doesn't seem right what they're doing here, especially because it affects neighbors,
Right.
So,
It's affecting a whole neighborhood.
while I don't have the solution, I agree that it should be the criteria worked on to make this better, for everybody works together. The last thing we want to see, especially in this environment, people that are mad at everything, in the world. This kind of stuff is stuff that we should try to work in a spirit of, what this whole thing was about, especially Christmas time,
Yeah.
And I do not want to see animosity with anybody, neighborhoods, but I do believe in fairness, and it would be fair to at least talk to the folks and work it out. I know that I'd probably be with them if I was living in the area. I'd be right there with Ally and those guys. So that's my 2 cents, folks. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Is it you or Councilor Duran? Councilor Smith?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a couple concerns about this, and you know how I am about process and procedures. We spent a lot of time when I first got on council regarding In-N-Out Burger and approving the path of traffic off of I-5. And it was a huge event, and we had to really analyze those things. And I know that we approve the Christmas Lights Parade, and we approve the Keizer Iris Festival. This is a very, very large event, and it's a multi-night event. And I can't imagine just like talking to a couple of my neighbors in McNary going, hey, I'm gonna have a parade, and I'm gonna just, here we go. Hope you like me later. So I'm baffled. I mean, I'm joking, but I'm joking because I'm mortified that we haven't kind of gotten that reined in. My recommendation, and tonight's my last council night, so I'm just going to say it, is that I think something this big should have the same hoops that we put everybody else through, period, because it does affect people. I'm thinking about like elderly people that are having cars sit in front of their house and the gas is, burning and idling and breathing and things like that. There's people with respiratory issues, lots of them right now. I'm just concerned. I also don't like the fact that I don't know who these quote volunteers are. This is like, and this actually came up to me 2 years ago when I asked the Gubser Neighborhood Association about this, and there was some issues a couple of years ago. And it seems like the issues have gotten worse. It seems as though there's been more division. And that's not what we need in this community at this time, and especially around Christmas. This brings a lot of people in, and of course we want to support it, and it's for a great cause. I do agree. I think that the Gubser School was actually where it was, the collection point a few years ago. And it made sense 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's some, and I love the idea of like a neighbor saying, hey, on the main path here, we can work these things out. I would encourage everybody in the audience that is here from the Gubser neighborhood to go to your Gubser Neighborhood Association. They are a recognized entity within the city. We do hear from them. If you need any coaching, ask Wes Keizer, because they're really good at making it very evident when they're not liking something. We've heard from them regarding the soccer fields and the parks. And so you really, if you want to have a strong voice, I would highly recommend getting involved there if you can. And, if you don't like something the way it's organized, try to reorganize it. Your voice matters, and I'm super proud of you all for coming and saying something. I think we needed to hear about this, so thank you for that. But going forward, I think it's really important that we put, when it's an event at this level, it needs to go through the same hoops we put everybody else through. So that's my 2 cents.
Councilor Duran?
I just want to say, I think it's kind of ridiculous for the organizers to force this on the street, that out of 24 homes, 3 of them want to have lights, or at least they didn't want to sign the petition. So having a street with 24 homes on it and having all that traffic, I just think it's kind of crazy to expect all the cars to go through there and not see any lights. So I would like to see something happen on this. And I think at least on a change in the future, we need to have the organizers, do some due diligence and talk to, whoever's being affected by this change to do some, talking to the neighbors, or at least given some idea of who's interested in being involved, so that they know this ahead of time and have that as part of the application. Do your neighbors that are being affected know? Are they wanting to be in on this? So I think we need to have something set up for the future. But I think at this point, we need to let the organizers know that there is an issue and that we want something done about it this year, not next year. So that's my position.
And the one more thing I would add is, thank you for bringing up the point about In-N-Out Burger. We have had nights at the food collection barrel where the traffic is back up to I-5. So I think that there's a really valid reason for this event to be looked at from a larger traffic impact than has been done in the past. And again, I'm going to leave it to staff to work on the recommendations for that. But for this year, it sounds like this conversation needs to be had with the organizers, and that, of course, if a change needs to be made, the city's going to do what we can to facilitate that and help them with that. So the notion that this is set in stone, we are telling you here tonight, it is not. So we want to make that very clear. Mr. Brown, do you have enough to go on, sir? Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, sir.
If I could, it was the consensus of council, just to confirm it for staff's purposes, was 2 parts. One, to ask staff to try to work with the organizers to change the route this year, pointing out the various reasons why that would be an appropriate thing to do. And then the second is to look at the current ordinance with regard to the criteria and make recommendations to council on whether or not you want to change that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I believe that's.
Are there any objections by council?
Are we good?
That's the consensus of council. Thank you.
That's consensus of council. In addition, we are going to strongly urge and encourage what Council President Smith said about working with your neighborhood association, which is recognized by the city of Keizer, and can be a very strong and ongoing voice for community and neighborhood-wide involvement. You also have another pro in the room with Tammy and Jacqueline from the Northeast Keizer Neighborhood Association, a new one that has emerged on the scene as a powerhouse. So I'd encourage you to talk with them as well. I know one gentleman wants to comment, and yeah, if you want to come back up, you have to be at the microphone, because we do need to be able to hear you on the record. John, okay.
Being from Eastern Oregon, I think we do things a lot simpler over there. And it would be very simple for the city council to tell the city workers to go take down 2 signs. One that for the exit, one for the entrance. And that problem solved for this year. And then next year, if they can present something, hey, do it.
Thank you. We will leave it to our city manager and staff to follow up with the event organizers. Okay? All right. And again, this is not what we usually do during public testimony, but we needed to figure this out. All right, Councilor Kohler? All right.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple items on this from my point of view here. There's 3 families that have been doing that for the last 10 years, and they're ready to retire and put that on, pass that on to another family. And I spent a good hour with them Saturday night talking to them about what they're doing and how it's going and what's going on. And I would highly encourage you to meet with the neighborhood association as a group, figure out a good way to do that. If you need a moderator, let me know. We can do that. But I would hate to see such a wonderful event get pushed off to the side because a few people can't get along. So I would encourage you to, last year they gave a check to Marion Pope Food Share for $47,000. And I don't know how many tons of food, but it was over 20 tons of food. What an amazing thing, and what a great Christmas tradition that is. Some people just call it the Keizer Lights. That's not really what it is. It's the miracle of Christmas lights. And we appreciate all the time and effort that y'all have made to come here, and you're willing to see this move forward. And I think we should all figure out a way to get it together and move forward. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, so with that, we are still in public comment. Is there anybody who would like to address the council on another matter before we go to our public hearing? Going once, twice. All right, we are going to then to our first public hearing tonight, and that is item 7A, solid waste rate proposal. The public hearing is now open. City manager?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. The item before you right now is the request to increase the rates of the fees for solid waste disposal. Dr. Estelle Harlan and the members of the 2 haulers in our community are here tonight to answer any questions. Valley Solid Waste Management and Lawrence Sanitation. They received a rate increase in 2021, which was implemented. They received a rate increase in 2022 of 3%, but that rate was not implemented in March 1 of when it could have been. The reason given was that they determined it would be better, this is a quote, better business practice to review and update financial data and come back to the city in late 2022 for a proposal increase in 2023. And of course, I think we're all aware of the inflation factors that we've seen in the last year. Their cost increase are not unlike other drivers for most organizations: labor, fuel, insurance, both medical and equipment, stuff like that. The request is for a 10% increase. And that, if we look at the rate comparison, which I put in the staff report, we are below the rates that are of our comparison cities within Marion County. This rate increase would put us above that average, although I did say that it's probably fair to assume that other communities will be considering this also. When you look at that's residential. When we look at the commercial, we are charging less than our competitors or not our competitors, our comparison cities. And the consultant has said that that's because the commercial rates are subsidized in the residential rates in those communities. Whereas our community, it's based on actual costs for commercial versus residential. A full rate schedule is attached in the proposal, and the policy-wise, the council is required to approve rate changes by an order. So if the council is persuaded to approve this increase, it would have to be done by requesting staff to prepare an order for council approval. As far as looking at trends, again, I think all of you on the dais are aware of the inflationary trends. I double-checked the industry by looking at the waste management quarter, the publicly traded solid waste hauler, and it was close to what the consultant and the haulers are telling us about their trends in their industry. And tonight is a public hearing to hear any comments about that. And then Dr. Harlan and our haulers are here tonight to answer any questions you might have. And then if you so inclined to approve that request, then direct staff to prepare that order. And with that, I'll leave it. I'll stand for questions.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions from council on the staff report of the proposal at this time? Councilor Starr?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a lot of questions, but I'm not sure if it's for staff or if it's for our speakers, so.
I think we'll go then, if it's all right with council, that we will go to Dr. Harlan to come up and address council, and hopefully that will get some of your questions answered. Yes, it did. Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. I'm Estelle Harlan, Solid Waste Management Consultant for your two cities franchisees, Valley Solid Waste Management and Lawrence Sanitation. By way of background, costs go up every year for these haulers, but we don't come in every year, but we wait until we feel that the impact is high enough that it warrants coming in. And so we have some specific information on costs that your city manager put in to his staff report, but for folks listening tonight, perhaps at home, we have had these specific cost increases. Labor costs, and we follow Salem on the inflationary factors that we use. The labor costs increased by 5% in '22, and we expect them to go up another 3% in '23. Fuel inflation increased 60% in 2022, and we're holding it flat for '23. Medical insurance increased by 6.5% in 2022. We're expecting it to go up 15.8% in 2023. But the greatest factor is the CPI. And that increased many of the other costs in our financial data. It went up We're estimating it's going to be 8.8% in 2022 and 4.4% in 2023. We did not escalate recycling. When we started the year, we were pretty flat on what we were getting, even getting a little bit paid for what we recycled and took in for recycling. We're now having to pay, I just learned, for co-mingle over $100 a ton for disposal, and cardboard about $40 a ton. When you recognize that garbage is $87.45 a ton, there are instances here on our co-mingle that we're having to pay for more than garbage. But it's just such it's a program that is so valuable, and we can't go in and out with it with customers. We have to keep providing it. But it's spendy. It's, at this point, it really is quite spendy. But we're doing what we can to mitigate the issues on recycling by providing more recycling education. And as we described when we were here for the 2021 rate adjustment, we've increased our recycling education outreach. We have added an app called Mid-Valley Curbside Collection to our public education that is free to customers and can be accessed by Apple, Android, or Internet interaction. And we continue to monitor that and refine the outreach. This includes curbside collection alerts and information on what materials go in on what day, and we can do a call blast to improve communications with customers, and they can also access Waste Wizard on this app. Moving to the franchisees' financial status and rate proposals, the pro forma operating margins for 2022 and 2023 have been calculated as net before taxes. So when we talk about what our margin is, this is before taxes, not after taxes. And we are significantly below right now for 2022, below the industry target as referred to by your city manager, that he did check and found that we were right within the average that he found for our target, and it is the industry average in Oregon. We are proposing this 2023 rate adjustment, which is 10% across the board for all rates, and that increase is well below the rate of inflation for 2022 and 2023. If the rate increase is granted, we will be within the range of the industry targeted operating margin, a margin before taxes. If the rate increase is not granted, we will be at about 1/3 of the industry targeted operating margin. We provided you with a rate schedule, and I think it's self-explanatory, but I would point out that we are adding one additional customer option, and that's an additional cart rate for 35-gallon and 65-gallon carts. And we're doing this for the convenience of customers who need more cart capacity. And so there won't be a lot of folks that are probably going to want an additional cart, but for those larger families or for whatever reason they need an additional cart, we are proposing that rate, which was is not currently in the rate schedule. The comparative rate schedule is interesting. Yes, you're going to go above some of the Marion County cities, not Salem. We'll be still below Salem, who approved a rate increase recently. But it's very, very true. Why? Because we go at cost of service, and so does Salem. We don't have subsidies flowing between types of service, commercial and residential. In most of these other cities, if you look at the information given to you by your city manager, there's a great deal of subsidy going on, and this has been their choice. But we have not been doing that in city of Keizer, and we are not recommending doing that now. So And we do expect these other cities to be increasing their rates so that we will just flat out, no matter what they're doing, subsidy or otherwise, we won't be higher or not, and the rates will remain very favorable, very reasonable. And this is particularly true if you also look at the services that we're providing here that these other cities are not providing. Salem does, and we do here in Keizer, and that is providing food waste disposal within the organic cart for yard debris and food waste. And these other Salem cities, or Marion County cities, do not. So we did not implement the 2022 increase because we were in just a high inflationary spiral. And we realized that if we implemented that rate increase, we were going to have to come back 3 years in a row, or customers were going to have 3 years in a row because we got 2021. And then they would have had 2022, but we didn't, with the rate of inflation, we would have had to have come back again then for 2023. And so the customers had a lower rate for this last year, 2022, because we did not implement that increase. And we have now been able to see, things settle down a bit and feel more comfortable from a business standpoint with the rates that we're now asking for 2023. We had requested that they be effective January 1, but we have to give a 30-day notice to our customers. So we will need to be, unless this is approved before, it can't be effective January 1, no matter what. So we'll want it to be effective the 30 days out from whenever it's approved, and starting with the first of the month, like February 1. And Kevin Ganger, the CPA for these franchisees who prepared the financial data, is here tonight. If you have questions that would be more relevant to that data, I'm here to answer any questions that you have.
All right, thank you very much. So I will start with Councilor Starr, who has some questions.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm sorry, I'm the newbie and I've not been through one of these before, so it is not your lucky night. I'll just say that up front. Here are some of my questions. You mentioned there's a subsidy. When I look at this data, where is that subsidy coming from that you mentioned that some of the cities have?
Commercial. So the commercial containers, the container rates are getting a margin that's considerably higher than what the residential, so subsidy, so there's a subsidy from commercial to subsidize the residential rates and keep them lower.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. And then so looking at this table of data, the outlined bar, the blue outlined bar that you provided here would put Keizer above the industry average pretty significantly for the 20G, 35, and the 60 for all of them. Is that proposed increase, what's being requested compared to the other cities, is that before or after their rate increases?
Before. We're saying that their rate increases are still, some of these are still to come. We will still be lower. Right now, Salem has approved. And we'll be still in Keizer lower than Salem.
Mm-hmm. And when I look at the cities that you have over here referenced, I feel like Wilsonville's a fairly comparable in some ways, no?
No, there's a huge subsidy going on in Wilsonville.
From the business to the residential? Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
it's huge.
Okay. And when are those other cities expected to address or discuss their rate increases?
Well, so most cities, it will be after the first of the year for most of them. And I don't personally know when I know about Salem, which has approved, and the others, whatever's pending, will happen. So they'll have to get their financial data for year-end 2022, and it generally takes 2 to 4 months before they can.
But you're proposing the rate increase before your clients have their year-end 2022 data?
No, we have done a pro forma. That's where all these costs, these
So it's
inflationary
not,
factors.
they're not actual figures.
They're pro forma, but they're based on the same inflationary figures that Salem used. Though they're based on actual 2021, and then we just increased by the inflationary factor
percentage.
what we need for 2022, 2023.
And
Sorry.
have we had any conversations with those other cities to know what their proposed rate increase will be, or what they're thinking it will be?
Well, the cities don't propose it, it's the
but
individual
that's my-
companies.
do
And
you-
I do not know what the other companies are doing at this point.
Any other questions? Okay. I've got one, and that is another increase for all businesses, as I understand it, is the paid family leave and insurance contribution. And that is another hit. Was that calculated into this rate increase as well?
No, not specific, sorry. No, that, we didn't make a specific calculation for that when we started this process back in April or May, so we didn't propose anything for that at
So
that time.
that's going to be another cost increase for both businesses. Do you have a ballpark idea of the level of impact?
No, I mean, I believe that the business side of that is around 0.5% of wages. But I don't remember, I don't have detail on actual wages cost to know.
Okay.
The quick answer is we didn't factor it in. We just let it flow to the bottom line.
Okay.
And the same, that's what happened with recycling too. We just left it flat. And it sounded like a good idea back when in March and April, not so much now, but we're not doing anything additional at this time, no request additional. It's just going to, but it is going to eat away at that margin.
And then one more question before I open it back up, and that is the cost of recycling continues to go up for any one of a number of reasons, not the least of which is people using that as additional garbage rather than actual recyclables. I'm getting a head nod from the back from the haulers, and I've seen it in my neighborhood. So it would actually, if we wanted to save money, we would just do away with the blue can, which is something none of us would ever favor. So in order to keep our commingled recycling, we have to absorb or account for those costs and increase accordingly. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Additional questions? Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I fielded several phone calls from concerned citizens today. One of the questions they asked me was the inflation rate's 8.3%, but you're asking for 10%. You didn't use the 3% that was approved for March. Why 10%? They were freaking out. I said, 10%, they said we got a lot of people that are low income, don't have the ability it's going to come out of their food budget. So how do I answer that question for them?
Well, the 3%, if you, had we taken that within, so CPI at 8% is just one piece of our additional costs. I mean, I gave you the percentages on fuel, 60%. That's something out, we did not escalate, we didn't double escalate. We didn't take on both CPI and like cost of fuel. We escalated fuel on its own, we escalated labor on its own, we escalated medical insurance, and these, a number of these are well above the cost of the CPI, the inflation factor of the CPI. Then to the others, what's left, we added the CPI increase. Is that correct, Kevin? Mm-hmm. Yes.
So using CPI or inflation rate?
CPI, sorry. We sort of generically call it an inflationary factor, but CPI.
They are different numbers.
Yeah, they are. Thank you.
I've got one follow-up question, and that is on low-income programs. We do have some folks in our community who are on fixed or low income. We have programs here at the city for our city services, and we refer people in our community for electric, gas, and other utility assistance elsewhere. Can you talk to me about, or maybe one of our haulers can, about low-income programs for people who are in financial distress? I think, John, I think you just got tagged.
Come on, John.
Always good to see you.
Yes, we do, and we follow the same guidelines you guys follow to get it approved. So there, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but we do have a discounted rate for seniors and hardships.
Okay, and so for a person to be able to access those, they contact you and say, I'm in this particular situation, and you go, hey, we can help you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's very, very good to know, because I got a couple of questions from people, and I was 100% sure of the answer, but it's much more credible coming from you than from me.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? While we have Mr. Sullivan up here.
No, thank you. That was my question, and I think that needs to be reiterated.
Okay, that was too easy.
Yeah, I know you're off the hook for the moment, but stay tuned. Any other questions for Dr. Harlan, for, I'm sorry, Kevin, or from one of our haulers? Okay, is there anybody here from the audience? I don't have anybody signed up for public testimony. Is there anyone else here this evening who would like to address the council on this matter? Seeing none. Anything further, council, before I close the public hearing? Councilor Kohler.
Thank you,
Oh,
Madam Mayor.
okay. Press pause, Councilor Kohler.
So we have that program in Salem. We don't have it in Keizer, but we would be happy to set something up like that and follow their guidelines.
How fast?
Huh? Whatever he says.
He just said tomorrow.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a relatively simple program in Salem. They do it off of their, they have to have approval from the city, and then we do the same thing. We just follow their guidelines, and then we just have to come up with a rate to discount it, and we'd probably follow the city of Salem's discount.
Okay. Good
Is
to
that
know.
fair?
Can we get details on what that is? Because
Yeah.
I know
No,
you don't know them, but that's
absolutely.
really vague to me, so I
Yeah,
don't know if it's like.
Absolutely. We can provide that to you, no problem. We just have to go back and dig it out and have staff shoot it to you.
Like what that percentage is of a discount.
What that percentage
how
of a
they
discount is.
Yep, all of that, that would be great.
Yep, absolutely.
And Mr. Wood, I know that, we administer a similar program through the city, and I know that Mr. Sullivan can call on you for any guidance.
We actually use a lot of the same providers as the city of Salem, so I would assume the programs that they have in place really direct people to a lot of the third-party resource areas, Arches, Salvation Army, those kind of places.
Okay. Thank you. And would this apply then to both the haulers that we're talking about tonight? I'm getting a head nod from your
Yes.
colleague.
Yes.
Okay. That will be very important for folks in our community. We have, a lot of people are doing well, but the people who have needs, their needs are severe, as you very well know, because Lawrence and Valley, thank you. I just had a complete brain freeze. Thank you. Are very generous and very involved in the community. I really want to acknowledge that as well.
Thank you. And let me speak just for a second on the 3% that we didn't initiate. That was during the COVID lockdowns, and everybody was locked in their houses, and we didn't feel it was an appropriate time, and I communicated that with you over email, that we felt it was a very inappropriate time to initiate a 3% increase when half the people weren't working and were locked up. So,
And you probably had a lot more garbage.
they did. They did. There was quite a bit more garbage. Any more questions?
Your timing was perfect. Any other questions for Mr. Sullivan? Thank you. Councilor Kohler?
Can I come back?
Yes. Yeah.
I just want to say, without the haulers and the job that they do, we would really be in deep doo-doo. And
Literally.
maybe at your place. But anyway, we very much appreciate the service that you render to us. Thank you.
Thank you, and it's a privilege to work in this community. It's a great community. I've worked in multiple communities and couldn't be better.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here tonight and the work that all of you, both companies do provide for our community and the employment you provide for people in our community.
Thank you.
All right, any further questions before I close the public hearing? Going once, going twice. Public hearing is now closed. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the Keizer City Council direct staff to prepare an order to change the 2023 solid waste hauling rates for council consideration.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council direct staff to prepare an order to change the 2023 solid waste hauling rates for council consideration. Discussion. Councilor Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to propose a friendly amendment that order be contingent upon receiving the information about the program for low-income and fixed-income residents.
Does the mover
Yes.
accept? Second accept?
Yes.
All right, so with that change, and I was going to propose something similar, maybe not using the word contingent, but to be inclusive of. So I absolutely agree. And I know that you guys will be very responsive with that as well. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Our second public hearing this evening is on the Keizer Development Code Amendment, Stormwater Management. The public hearing is now open, and this goes to City Manager? No.
Mr. Witham.
Mr.
Madam Mayor.
Witham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council. So tonight before you is some amendments to our development code, specifically two sections. Section 1.2, which is our definitions section. In your packet, it is the briefest text amendment I have ever been a part of. It is literally one word, but it's to clarify that redevelopment is captured in our definitions of what development is when it comes to the stormwater management world. The second section that's being changed is section 2.306. We used to call it storm drainage, now we're calling it stormwater management. But it's basically, we're just getting rid of the whole section, and it's a brand new section before you. I am not the stormwater person. If you have technical questions, I'm going to defer to the Public Works Director for him to answer those. He's smarter than me. But I'll give you the simple man's perspective of what we essentially did here. The big piece is we are under compulsion by our permit through the Department of Environmental Quality, which many of you are aware of all the work that our Stormwater Advisory Committee has been doing for quite some time. And so we were required to update our section of code prior to February, I believe, of 2023. And so it's before you a little bit early on purpose, since many of you have been a part of these things and you're not going to be with us in a very short time. But essentially what we did is previously our code held some standards that were directly embedded in those. And our city engineer and our public works staff, as they have reviewed development applications, just a little secret, we haven't actually held them to those exact standards in the code because they were not in alignment with our permit for the past couple years. So, but with the new revisions to the design standards, this new section of code now is a little simpler connection, and it essentially is connecting to those design standards directly. So that's the gist of the amendment. Like I said, it's a different name, but it's the same stuff. It's dealing with stormwater and how we manage that. And the big thing is yes, we have to do it. It is part of our permit requirement. With that, I would be happy to answer any of your questions, or more accurately, refer those questions to Mr. Lawyer. So.
I love your honesty. Any questions for Mr. Witham or Mr. Lawyer? All right. Seeing none at this time, I do not have anybody signed up to testify under this public hearing. Is there anybody here present who would like to testify on this issue? I'm seeing a whole lot of no thank you. Anything further for City Council before I close the public hearing? Also seeing a lot of no thank you. Public hearing is now closed. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the Keizer City Council direct staff to prepare an ordinance with findings to adopt the proposed revisions of the Keizer Development Code pertaining to stormwater management.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council, whoops, I just switched pages. Give me the line. I lost my place. There it is. Direct staff to prepare an ordinance with findings to adopt the proposed revisions to the Keizer Development Code pertaining to stormwater management. Discussion. I just have one comment, and that is the rewrite is way easier to read. So thank you for that. It made it much easier to get through that. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. That concludes our public hearings for this evening. We will now go to actually, we have nothing under administrative action, so we're going to go to consent calendar. Council President Smith, would you please read the items on tonight's consent calendar?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There are 2 items on the consent calendar tonight. Item A, resolution extending the city manager's employment agreement for 2023 to 2024. And item B, approval of the November 21st regular session minutes.
Thank you very much. Are there any polls? Council President Smith?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Keizer City Council approve the consent calendar items A and B.
Second?
The consent calendar items A and B have been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. That takes us to other business. This time is provided to allow the mayor, city council members, or staff an opportunity to bring new or old matters before the council that are not on tonight's agenda. City manager, are there any items under other business that the staff would like to bring tonight?
Madam Mayor and council members, I do not have anything else for the council.
All right, thank you. City council members, are there any items of other business that you would like to bring forward this evening? All right, let's go to staff updates then. I will start with city manager.
I think we'll meet as a staff group to talk about these permit considerations. I'm not sure we follow all those standards on parades and for the Iris Festival and the Chamber, as we might have think we do, but I'll have to look into that a little bit more. The fear is this is the ultimate death of the food miracle of Christmas lights. If we go to a consent type of, but we'll look into that and bring it back to you, the policy part of that.
Hopefully it'll be the result of making it more sustainable.
Yeah.
I want to go to the positive.
Okay.
Mr. Wood,
Nothing additional, thank you.
Ms. Davis,
Nothing, thank you.
Chief?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 3 things. Reminder about Coffee with the Cop on the 21st of December at Starbucks on River Road. Holiday Lights Parade, you mentioned it earlier. I'll let folks know that Lock Haven will be closed. That is this Saturday. Will be closed at 3 o'clock. River Road will be closed from 6 to about 9 p.m. We'll allow cross traffic across River Road at Shimawa until about 7:15, until the parade reaches it. Finally, just as a public service notice, allow me to note that we're getting an increase in people blowing past school buses on River Road. And we're starting to heavily enforce that, so please, public, be cautious. I mention it here because it seems a bit non-commonsensical, and I would agree, but nevertheless, the law says that if you're in one lane, clear across River Road, 4 lanes away, you're still required to stop. So, okay, thank you.
Flashing red lights, on the school bus, stop. Mr. Lawyer,
Nothing tonight. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Witham,
I have nothing else tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
thank you. Mr. Johnson?
Nothing tonight, thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Oh, yes, Mr. Lawyer, Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, or Mr. Lawyer. I mentioned that I had a question for you. I remembered what it was.
Okay.
I had a constituent, 2 of them actually, talk to me about the Windsor Island Road repairs, that the repairs there were pretty substandard. Do we have a plan on what's going to happen with that?
Well, we have a plan to direct the contractor to make those temporary repairs more passable. They went from unacceptable, because at one point they were absolutely unacceptable, to just not good. We haven't had any luck getting any kind of a confirmed schedule from them on when they think they might do the Windsor Island Road actual improvements. And so I just talked with my project manager today and let him know that they've got to do something, whether it's grind it off, smooth it out, rip it out, repave it, something has to be done. I'll be following up with him in the morning to see if they've responded and what their plan is, but we'll stay on them and get something done. This time of year, it's going to get to a point very soon where they're not even going to be able to get asphalt to do anything because the plant's shut down. So we'll be on them to get it, again, that's temporary, okay? They still have widening to do. We were discussing, there's going to be a painful part of this project, and that is when they have to cut the asphalt even wider to fix the undermined area, the area that undermined when they laid the deep sewer line that's underneath the existing asphalt that hasn't been cut yet. That's going to take about 3/4 of the road away. And so we've got to figure out a way to keep traffic moving through there, all the big trucks. So we'll be having some discussion with them on what their plan and how they're going to do that, when they're going to do it, and be noticing and notifying the public of when that will happen. It'll be somewhat similar, I believe, to what they did during the sewer line construction, where they routed traffic through their site. I don't know if any of you saw that.
Oh, yeah, been there.
That was really the only option. It was 1 lane at a time, but they routed traffic through their site to keep it open. They'll have to probably do something like that again when they get to the point to have to cut out that part of the road. So,
You're right, there are a lot of big trucks and stuff that go through there.
yes.
And there are businesses that are being impacted also. So I've had 2 different businesses call me, and I had 2 different residents call.
I spoke to a resident this afternoon on that. I'd talked to him before on when the road was absolutely unacceptable, and the contractor got right on that. So we'll follow up with them again tomorrow and see what we could do to encourage them to make it better.
Thank you.
And because that's not a city project, it's a developer project, really the only ultimate control we have is to shut their project down. You can't do any work. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but that doesn't fix the road. So take a little different approach and encourage them to fix the road.
Yeah. I would second that, to get on them. Yeah, you're right. They went from an F to a F plus. Maybe a D.
I'm thinking from about probably an I to an F minus.
Yeah, it's deplorable. Yeah. Not the quality of work they probably want their name associated with out in this community.
Correct.
I would hope. All right. Counselor?
One other question is they flipped all their lights on and they started working at 6 o'clock this morning. Is there a time code that we have in the city for that kind of construction?
I believe the noise ordinance regulates that activity, and I think it's 6 to 10. It's 7 to 10. So
They started before 6 this morning.
okay.
All right. Thank you for bringing that up. I had also gotten phone calls and I'd forgotten to bring that up, so thank you for covering that. All right, city council updates. I will go to Councilor Duran.
The only thing I've got is the parade on Saturday. that was already mentioned. There's going to be 4 food carts for people if they want to come out and have food. There will be one at my property and 3 others, but I'm not sure what they will be yet because I haven't been told. And I just wanted people to understand that that was available this year.
Fantastic. All right, thank you very much. Councilor Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the parade is Saturday, as Councilor Duran mentioned. The tree lighting is tomorrow. So we'll hope to see everyone out there. I will be there with my flashing Rudolph nose to go with my antlers. So Saturday night, had the opportunity with Councilor-elect Huesman and Councilor Reed to collect food on the Miracle of Lights. It was very, very cold, but fun. Seeing the smiles on the children's faces. I think that's a song. I won't sing it. Had the opportunity to support the chamber in several Santa Central activities with the gift boxes and the food boxes. I know they're down there working tonight as well, and wrapping is on Wednesday if anybody has any time on Wednesday evening. And then also had the opportunity to make I don't know how many pounds of mashed potatoes with several community members, and went through a lot of butter at the community dinner on Thanksgiving. And I got creative and put them in the shape of trees and stars on the mashed potatoes.
We do have fun. Thank you very much. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have anything.
I would like to congratulate you, I know in your private life, but also with our partnership with the City of Detroit on a wonderful event Saturday night with the tree lighting and the gifts that were bought through the Believe in Your Community Foundation and other grants for children in the community whose families had need this year. So can you talk a little bit about that?
All right, that was a ton of fun. And I will say this, never give up hope that there are people sitting in the sidelines that would step up and help get things done that you wouldn't expect. And I really could say that in the city of Detroit, that that's exactly how things have gone down. Because 3 years ago after basically right after the fires, there had never been a tree lighting. There had never been a tree in the city park. There hadn't been any of those things. Thank you to Mr. Dave Walry and Mr. Kyle Duran and Keith Owen for getting a tree. They donated from Tucker Tree Farm, but they got, how big was that tree? 30, 40 feet tall.
No, it was 28 feet, I believe.
Yeah, 28-foot tall tree, and they hauled it up to Detroit, and they put it in the city park, and they got the lights, and he used the lights from leftover stuff from our city park, our Walrus Square, and so we've been able to establish this, and then we were able to work with the Believe in Your Community Foundation, where they went out and did the Shop with a Cop, and we were able to provide gifts for kids up there, and there was a lot of kids. And we received a $2,500 donation from the Ford Family Foundation, which we were able to buy gas cards and like Safeway cards. And we give those to the Marion County Sheriff so that as they are running into families up in the canyon, that is the poorest part of Marion County. I'm not sure if you guys know that, like Idana, Detroit area. So the residents that live up there, gas and food are actually really critical. And we did a little food drive too, because I was like, hey, why don't we do this? And why don't we do that? Why not? All these people, these volunteers are like, okay, we just kept doing what Elizabeth kept throwing out there. And it turned out great. We had lots of people up there, and I just thank a lot of the people in Keizer for setting a great example as to doing things that you can pull off some amazing things in a community, even when they're down on their luck. So it was awesome, and thanks for giving me that chance to talk about it, because it was pretty darn cool to see the look on this kid's face. So it was awesome. And I'm very tired from it, but I'm good.
That's the good tired. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just have a few things. Chamber Greeters was on the 22nd, which was kind of fun. We had Casabella Construction come. Eddie Herrera came. Do you know Eddie?
Yeah.
He came and presented some great stuff about fence and deck work. It was neat to have him there and see all the neat things he did. We had a little dinner on the 23rd. I want to thank, a special thank you to all that helped put on the dinner, including Councilor Starr and her husband. and including Counselor Smith for the great pie donation. Did you know you did that?
Oh, I wondered where they went, so yeah, I hope so.
29 pies.
Awesome. Well, you're very welcome. Glad it
Yeah,
went to a
thank
good
you very
cause.
much. And along with Mayor Clark, I attended the memorial service for David Smith on the 25th. We're going to miss him. And of course, the work session, we talked about dogs. I had to bring my dog tonight. And so.
Very well behaved.
Appreciate that. She's been good tonight. The- and probably will not ever be.
There you go.
Oh, animal
Bring 'em
abuse,
up.
animal abuse.
Don't choke him.
You're killing me. I vowed to have as much fun here as I can. Okay. Southeast Keizer Neighborhood Association on the 1st, we met Tammy Salazar from the Traffic Safety Bike Ped Committee, came to explain the process for traffic concerns, and they added a board member, Tina Navarro, so they have an additional board member, and they're going to have a Keizer Community Christmas party on the 16th at 6 p.m. at their facility there. On the 3rd, I attended the City Dance Theater production. Congratulations to all the dancers and the people that made all that possible. It was a lot of fun. And then after all of that, I went and I found the collection site after everybody else had left. Spent about an hour and a half there with them. Had some great discussions, and it was neat to see all the people enjoying the lights. Of course, we already talked about the wrapping. The Thursday is putting the food boxes together. If you have extra time on the 10 o'clock, or excuse me, 9 o'clock on the 10th, come to Lions Club and you can help distribute all the food boxes and stuff that have been collected. The Jingle Dash is at 6 o'clock, and of course, the parade, come on down at 7. So thank you for all of those that are making that possible. We're about 270 food boxes this year, so a lot of great things going on. I stand amazed at what's going on with all of that stuff. And I guess, Elizabeth, I'm done.
3 minutes.
Going out with style. 3 minutes, man.
Sorry, that was from an earlier discussion. We were doing policy and we talked about 3-minute maximum for that report, and I was probably at least there.
Councilor Reed.
Okay, well, thank you.
Okay, she gets more than 3 seconds.
Okay, so I took my grandsons to the AFL-CIO Children's Christmas Party last Saturday, and that was quite a lot of fun. They had a good time, and there were a lot to do, and they were excellent hosts, and it was a lot of fun. Really looking forward to the community band concert next Wednesday, so I'm really excited to get that back going. My son-in-law is involved in that, and so that'll be here at the Civic Center, and so really excited to see that. Lots and lots of concerts that Youth Councilor Sarmiento will tell us lots more about. 'Tis the season for lots and lots of concerts, and so that'll be great fun. And so yeah, just keep an eye on all of the community events as have been mentioned, and just lots of things going on at McNary with Adopt a Salt, and lots of opportunities for service and song and all kinds of fun stuff. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Councilor Herrera.
one more
Yes.
thing.
Oh, and one by the way.
One more thing. So Councilor Kohler and I met for some preliminary discussions of our 40th birthday celebration. So we are going to party that one up. So it'll be fun.
All
We had a
right,
mini party, planning a party.
Yeah.
there we go. So there's your preview of coming events for 23. Thank you. Councilor Herrera.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We got some, I was kind of out of the loop for a while because of my situation, but I did attend a few things. This Saturday, I attended the lecture on by the Oregon Cultural Institute, Oregoniano, which they call it, on the history of Latinos, Hispanos in Oregon. They go all the way back to the 1500s. I like that. I always wonder how they got those Spanish names at the coast, you know? But anyway, that was really interesting. Professor actually has a book on this, and in conjunction with Western Oregon, they put some historical stuff together, which is my kind of enjoy. Also, I have a very busy Thursday because I'll be going to the Casa, and then I will be, we have a LOC dinner that night, the board dinner. We're going to be up in here, they're going to be here in Salem. And the following day, we have the all-day board meeting, which is always, it'll be my last meeting as a board member with the League of Oregon Cities. And I wanted to reach out to congratulate Bob Salazar from Keizer, who is now a member of the school board. And, you know, for those that don't know, he's appeared here before. And he and I go back, way back, but 70s. But he's got a background in education that's amazing. I mean, he's been a principal. He's just a good guy, and he loves kids, all kids. That's a very good choice there. Also, I want to thank the folks that show up. They come in with their you know, that's great. It takes something to come up and talk to the council, whether we can help or not. But at least the people are speaking out and handling things in an adult way, in the right way. And also to our lovely ladies here, thank you for sitting through the whole thing. I'm sure it's been really entertaining. Last thing I have was, let's see here, what was I just wrote here? Oh yeah, the parade Saturday, yeah. Now they're not gonna change the route there, are they, last minute? It's going to my house. So I'm not gonna, no, you know what? In all seriousness, it's good that folks speak out. I mean, I know all those folks out there, and they all mean well. And like I say, we can work it out in the spirit of working together, and hopefully we can get that done. And for those of you that, you know, this is my second to the last meeting, and I think I'm going to be at the last meeting, but I will. December 12th, I might be gone, although we have a work session.
Something about a birthday, yeah,
It's a
something
national
about
holiday
a
in Mexico.
Roland Herrera Day.
No, it's Virgen de Guadalupe, the Virgin
Okay.
of Guadalupe, which is, my real name is Guadalupe, by the
Yeah.
way. Anyway, so I might have an event going on there. Mano Mano, we're having my last board meeting with them. This, God, I got 10 things on Thursday. I got to go to that one too because it's pretty much for us. But and you know, as I wind down my career with these board as a board member, I have a lot of great memories of all the stuff we've accomplished as far as Mano Mano and other entities, all the way from Cal Club to the new formed club over here, and which I've been trying to help out when I can. But I'm looking forward to my last meeting. All right, thanks a lot for everything, and again, folks, thank you for showing up. I mean, it takes a lot, and I appreciate that. Okay, I'm all done.
All right, thank you so much. Youth Councilor Sarmiento.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's a very busy week for McNary. On Thursday, we have an orchestra concert. It starts at 7, and we have other up-and-coming concerts, like the band concert, but I'm not really sure about the date, so I was hoping Councilor Reed could clarify on the date for the band concert.
For the band concert?
Yes.
I don't have that off the top of my head, but look at yeah.
Wednesday at 7.
It's on Wednesday at 7. Our concerts are always a day apart. It's really weird.
Yeah, they usually
Yes.
just have them Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, bang, bang, bang. So that used to be an easy thing.
Oh, and then for sports, we have a basketball meet from 5:30 to 7, and it's JV, girls basketball, and then boys basketball. And then we have also a swim meet at 4:30 at the Kroc Center tomorrow. On Wednesday, we have girls wrestling at 6 here at McNary. And on Thursday, we have a wrestling meet, but at McKay at 5. And then on Friday, we have, once again, a basketball meet for girls at Thurston. And then the boys basketball team is at home at McNary from 5:15 to 7. And on Saturday, we had the snowball, which was very exciting. I didn't go though, so. And then the Mary Poppins musical is coming up. It's from January 25th through 28th to February 1st to the 4th. And we also have the Adopt a Sell program, which Ms. Reed talked about briefly, where McNary classes adopt a family and then they buy presents or whatever basic necessities that family needs. And yes, that is it.
Fantastic. And good luck with the concert on Thursday.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Just a couple things to wrap up. On the 22nd, the Salem-Keizer Area Transportation Study, SCATS, met. We are working on the update for our MTP, the Metropolitan Transportation Plan. It has a new name, a new acronym, so I'm trying to, relearn that. They had to change it, just to make it easier. Said no one ever. So we're looking at the projects that we can deliver. We've heard a lot tonight about inflation, and that is impacting all of the projects that we are scoping in our region, and whether or not we're going to be able to deliver them in the years in which they are currently programmed. Some of them are being pushed out into later construction years because of inflation and the cost of materials and supply chain issues. So we'll adapt as much as we can with working with our partners, both at, here locally. I know every one of our public works projects is impacted with costs and so forth right now, and this is impacting all of the projects we're doing within our region and at ODOT. Also, ODOT is looking at some pretty severe funding shortages for operations. We got a lot of money through all of the alphabet soup of programs, CARES, CARISA, ARPA, BIL, blah, blah, blah. Those are all construction dollars. It's the maintenance dollars that they are still hurting. So they're looking at ways to be able to provide enough staffing and materials. Again, the cost has gone up for asphalt and other materials to make sure that they're going to be able to maintain our infrastructure the way it needs to be maintained. So working very closely on that. The Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance Executive Committee met on the 29th, and this Thursday, the full board will be meeting, getting an update on the upcoming point-in-time count, the pit count, which will occur the last week of January. So I'm sharing some of that information out. Keizer will be taking care of the pit count here, as we always have, and there's opportunities for people to volunteer to assist with the pit count in the Salem area and in some of the surrounding areas to make sure that we have as complete and accurate a count as possible. Go to our website for the Mid-Willamette Valley Homes Alliance. There's a link there for people who want to volunteer and get involved with the pit count and that outreach that goes with that. It's not going around and counting people and, have a nice day. It's actually engaging with people and using that as another outreach for people to come into shelter services and support that we are being able to offer on a more robust level than we ever have been able to do in the past. So get involved, and especially with the pit count. And some of our sheltering right now is happening for people experiencing homelessness to be in shelter and out of the freezing weather that we are experiencing. It is winter, and we want to get people inside. You heard about the chamber events this week. The only thing I want to add is on Sunday, if you haven't had enough holiday events and so forth, come on down. Keizer Fire. We have Colleen Bush from the Keizer Fire Board here tonight. Keizer Fire District Santa Breakfast is back. Colleen, what time? 7:30 to 11:30, so come on down to the Keizer Fire District and enjoy breakfast with your neighbors, visit with Santa. It is wonderful to have this event back since we have not had it since 2019, I don't think. Huh? Oh, it is Sunday the 11th, this coming Sunday. Sorry? 7:30 a.m. So get there early. Come on, computer, be good. Next Monday is the Oregon Business Leadership Summit. So Councilor-elect Sarita Cross and I are going up. Who else is going from council to the Leadership Summit? So I think it's just gonna be the two of us going up for that. That is back in person. They've been doing virtual meeting, so it's great to get everybody back in person at the Oregon Convention Center. The Council of Governments Board of Directors will be meeting on the 13th. This Thursday, by the way, is a legislative coffee, so all councilors are invited to meet with our legislative contingent from this region. We have invited all the legislators to come and meet at the Chemeketa Center for Business and Industry on High Street, and to help our legislators know what the needs are for cities and counties in our region going into the legislative session.
When is that?
That is this coming Wednesday, the December 7th, starting at 7:30 a.m. Bright and early, coffee, or as Scott keeps talking about, biscuits and gravy, but I don't think we're going to have that. I know he'd like to. Let's see, one more thing is Coffee with Kathy, which is the monthly video that I'm able to do with some of our partners, elected partners with Keizer Fire District, Betty Hart, from the Chariots Board of Directors, Ramiro Navarro. We get James Hutches from the Chamber of Commerce, and Pastor Jose Dominguez from La Luz de Valle Church. This month, joining us will be our Councilor-elect, Soraya Cross, and our new school board member, Robert Salazar, has agreed to come on the program, and we are looking forward to him becoming a regular contributor to our monthly video productions. So very happy to have him on board. 45 years of education experience from being a teacher, principal, and working at the State Department of Education. I'm really looking forward to working with Robert Salazar as our new school board representative. That is all I've got. What day is that? That will be on the 17th. So that will be broadcast, and it will be, hopefully if I press the buttons right, it will also be on Facebook Live. If I do it wrong, you get to watch the video later. It really depends if I do the thing in order. All right, that's all I've got. Any by the ways? Agenda input, next Monday, December 12th at 6 p.m. We will meet in a work session. We'll have a review of our 2021-2022 council goals, and welcome our incoming city councilors to be part of that conversation. On December 14th at 7:30 a.m., we will meet over at the Chemeketa Community College Agricultural Center with the Chemeketa Community College Board of Education and tour their new agricultural center. It is fabulous. On December 19th at 7 p.m., we will meet in regular session. And then on January 3rd, 2023, which is a Tuesday, we will meet at 7 p.m. in regular session, and our new city council members and returning city council member, Councilor Kohler, will take the oath of office, as well as myself, as for another term as mayor.
January?
Yes.
January 3rd, it's Tuesday.
If I'm here.
We know where you live. And then at January 9th, 2023, at 6 p.m., we will have a work session. And that is all we have at this time. Is there anything else for the good of the order? Seeing none, thank you all for your hard work tonight. It is 9:23 and we are adjourned.